Biplane by John Gillespie Magee Jr. Oh, I have slipped the soily bones of earth, and danced the skies on lovers' silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed, and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds, and done 100 things you have not dreamed of, wheeled and soared and swung, high in the silent silence, hovering there. I've chased the shouting wind along, and flung my eager craft through fruitless halves of air. Up, up the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the wind-swept heights with easy grace, where never lark or ever eagle flew. And while with silent, lifting mind I've trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space, put on my hand and touch the face of God. Biplane, a simple framework that starts a plane. Biplane is the first powered and controlled aeroplane to fly. The Wright brothers used a biplane wing arrangement, as did many aircraft in the early years of aviation. While a biplane wing structure has a structural advantage over a monoplane, it produces more drag than a monoplane wing. Improved structural techniques, better materials, and higher speeds made the biplane configuration obsolete for most purposes by the late 1930s. The primary advantage of the biplane over a monoplane is its ability to combine greater stiffness with lower weight. Stiffness requires structural depth, and where early monoplanes had to have this provided with external bracing, the biplane naturally has a deep structure and is therefore easier to make both light and strong. Rigging wires on non-cantilevered monoplanes are at a much sharper angle, thus providing less tension to ensure stiffness of the outer wing. On a biplane, since the angles are closer to the ideal of being in direct line, with the forces being opposed, the overall structure can be made stiffer. The low power supplied by the engines available in the first years of aviation limited aeroplanes to very low speeds. This required an even lower stalling speed, which in turn required a low wing loading, combining both large wing area with light weight. Obtaining a large enough wing area without the wings being long and thus dangerously flexible was more readily accomplished with a biplane. As engine power and speeds rose late in World War I, the cantilever wings, with inherently lower drag and higher wing loading, became practical, which in turn made monoplanes more attractive as it helped solve the structural problems associated with monoplanes, but offered little improvement for biplanes. By the 1930s, biplanes had reached their performance limits, and monoplanes becomes increasingly predominant, particularly in continental Europe, where monoplanes had been increasingly common from the end of World War I. At the start of World War II, several air forces still had biplane combat aircraft in frontline service, but they were no longer competitive and almost were used in niche roles, used as training or shipboard cooperation until shortly after the end of the war. Nowadays, biplanes are not only still being restored, they are also still being manufactured. Since 1991, Waco Classic Aircraft Corporation of Battle Creek, Michigan, has been producing Waco YMF models under the original type certificate and has sold more than 125. The company recently announced that this year it will begin to manufacture the biplane that was on our cover 25 years ago, the Great Lakes. Even these newly manufactured biplanes teach their pilots and passengers something about flight in its youth, but anyone who has ever had the good fortune to look over the side from the open cockpit at the country gliding by below knows that history can't fully explain why biplanes are treasured, and utility doesn't explain it either. A biplane can get you from here to there. That seems to be just an excuse to fly it. The biplane's real purpose is to entertain.